All right, welcome in to Big Hitters Only. I'm your host, Ross Martin. This is going to be a somber pod discussing UNC football. But first, I want to talk about Rowback. BHO20, promo code BHO20 at checkout to get 20% off your order. Your first-time purchasers on Rowback. Awesome UNC gear, sweatshirts, hoodies, Q-zips, polos, pants, anything. It doesn't have to be UNC stuff. Rowback. BHO20. It really helps us. We had a lot of sales in August and September. Hoping to do the same in October and November. Rowback, BHO20. Get all your gear there. All right, we're bringing on a season ticket holder, a Chapel Hill native, and a lifelong UNC basketball and football fan and baseball fan. Kyle, what's up, man?
Just hanging in there. We're going to let all the negative energy out tonight about the Heels and, get out of their system and start the week fresh tomorrow.
Yeah, so I talked to Kyle yesterday at a tailgate. We've been friends for a couple of years now. Shout out Keaton Brewer who brought us together. Keaton would love, he would appreciate it. I know he really appreciates shout outs.
Loves the shout outs.
Kyle's a true fan, and we were getting pretty deep on UNC football about the issues, and Kyle's pretty knowledgeable and aware of everything that's going on. So I think this podcast will be a good chance to discuss all the issues right now with UNC football as a program. We're not going to get to this game. UNC got crushed by Clemson. I don't even know what the final score was. I know Clemson covered because I made money. But we're going to get into what's going on right now, what's the future of this program, and where do we go with Bill Belichick? UNC is 2-3. Their wins over Charlotte and Richmond. They got killed by TCU at home. They lost to UCF in Orlando, and they got killed by Clemson at home. Look, did we think this team was going to be undefeated at this point? No. We probably thought Clemson was going to be a loss. TCU was we didn't know, but we got killed by them. And then UCF was a game we thought we could win. We haven't won those. But also the issue is they aren't competitive, right? And there's no signs of improvement. So where do you stand right now with UNC football?
Yeah, we don't look like we belong on the same field as other power conference teams, UCF included, right? I just looked it up. UCF lost to Kansas and Kansas State since they've played us. So that's a mediocre Big 12 team, probably, right? And we didn't look like we belonged on the same field. Clearly where I stand is this was just an all-time failure, in assembling a team for this year. This team, as much as we could get into analyzing coaching, and it looked like early in the year, maybe it was offensive game plan and not knowing the right pieces. I think there's that too, but, it comes down to this was just an all-time failure in trying to assemble a team that could be competitive at the ACC level, which shouldn't be that hard. We're talking about ACC football. Yeah. We're talking about playing Big 12 teams, right? And this is our take, before the game yesterday that led into this. Clemson was just another data point. Nothing surprising happened. It just happened a little faster that we let up, we just let up the points a little quicker than we expected, but everything else, played pretty much the script. We knew we were going to be overmatched. So a lot of frustration.
Yeah, Clemson has, multiple NFL draft picks on the roster. I don't think UNC has one. Maybe that cornerback. Right. I'm not as knowledgeable on the roster, so I want to talk big scheme things here. Yeah. We need to get into some things that we think they did wrong. Clearly the roster's not where it needs to be to compete at the Power 4 level, in the ACC. I think Wake just had a big win. Wake, Duke, State, Virginia. Virginia had a big win. Those are teams that UNC, where we think UNC should be as a annual top 25, maybe top 15 team with UNC's resources and the Jordan brand and the recruiting, be able to recruit the state of North Carolina and Georgia. You've got to be beating those teams, and then you have a shot to beat Miami and Florida State and compete against Clemson, where they have in the past. Fedora competed against Clemson. And so the roster is not where it needs to be. What were the issues initially you thought they maybe failed in with this roster?
Yeah, I think if you go back and shout out good friend Sam Ellis, former Letterman, we got into a deep conversation about this after the UCF game. go back to, December, right? And Lombardi has tried to, paint this picture of like, oh, we came in late and didn't get to use the full portal window, all that. You know, if you're not scouting, right? If you weren't prepared coming in for this job to hit the ground running, you hadn't been in college football, you need a transition plan, right? Like, I don't know the ins and outs of everybody on staff, in the front office at Carolina, or even, a lot of these other schools. There's plenty of other schools building out front offices now. Um, there's all sorts of staffers that you could have relied on heavily early on, right? And instead, they came in late and kind of took it seems to me they took the take of, there's not much talent here. They can hit the road, right? Like, no sweat off our back. If anybody transfers out, we can bring in better people that replace them. And you see what they've brought in, right? It hasn't been impressive. There hasn't been much they've hit on. So
Yeah, well, let me touch on that point. Like, a couple things you hit on there. Like, yeah, the delay of hiring Belichick and also Lombardi, it was what? It took like 10 days since it was delayed compared
which is
to
a
other
system
openings.
issue, right? That's not their fault, but that's
Yes.
I think that's some of some of the chaos going on behind the scenes, right? Of the board of trustees coming in, prayer, whatever, right? Like, not being fully aligned. However that went down, right? We've all heard plenty of takes. Frankly, that's an administrative, like, systematic mistake, right? Like, not giving that, putting them an extra week behind. I don't think that's the reason, right? They still had plenty of time. You can flip a roster, but we brought in a staff that had not been coaching college football, and we brought them in late. That's a bad recipe.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think what you're getting is like there was some arrogance, I think, with Belichick and Lombardi, thinking they could big brain the situation. Like, okay, we can develop high school kids to compete.
Right.
We can develop a couple transfers, or we can scout in the April, May second transfer window. We can find guys we need. We've been doing this for 30 years. Right. We know how to identify talent. Well, if they haven't been able to identify talent, they've never scouted high school kids before or scouted freshmen in college to know what those body types look like and what that can pan out to. And I think, I think the lack of college experience on the staff and potentially college experience on the front office staff. Like, Lombardi should have hired some guy that's been in the ACC or the SEC for 15 years.
Right.
That's like second in command at Georgia or second in command at LSU.
Yeah.
That was looking for, hey, I need to kind of groom him or at least pick his brain. Like, we'll bring you in, we'll make you second in charge.
It's like a CEO comes into a new company that's a slightly different industry, right? They're gonna have somebody who's that, like, industry expert by their side from the start. If they're smart
and what do I not
arrogant,
know?
right? I have full confidence in my ability as a CEO or whatever, right, running the company. But I need to learn the ins and outs. So you have that right hand person who's lived in the industry every day for 30 years, right? And it feels like we didn't have any transition. They just came in. Everybody knew. Everybody who's there is out. We know more. We know better, right? Big brain, NFL brain. And, this is also, I don't know if we want to dive into this yet, but, like, is this, maybe, they're trying to pitch the long-term plan, right?
Yeah.
It's a new age of college football, and Belichick's 72, man. like,
yeah,
there's,
we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So another thing is, like, I had some conversations with some people today, or I don't know, text or whatever. It's like, also, maybe they should have overpaid to keep Bo Atkinson and Travis Shaw. Maybe keep the backup quarterback who went to East Tennessee, Jacoby Criswell.
Yeah.
And
it seemed like
the
they
linebacker,
just kicked him to the curb,
linebacker who went to Penn State. Like, maybe you don't pay for all of them, but, like, having some people that kind of know UNC and kind of know, like, or leadership roles. Like, Bo Atkinson seems like a guy who probably would have this respect in the locker room. If you get 5 of those guys to stay on, and that's a fourth of your roster.
each one individually, not public knowledge, obviously, what exactly they're asking for, whether they're getting paid at Ohio State and Penn State, all that. Each one individually, maybe you can say, yeah, why pay, 900K for them when we're not going to win a championship this year anyway? Sure. But like, who are we paying? Like who, like, and by all sources, we've ponied up a lot more money for Belichick to work with, right? So
yeah. In like a Holy Cross, we rely on like a Holy Cross offensive lineman. Like, you get excited about finding diamonds in the rough, but there is a reason why these guys are transferring up. They don't have the dimensions needed for college football. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's hard. I mean, maybe Bo Atkinson, Travis Shaw wanted a fresh start, which I fully understand, especially for Travis Shaw and some of those guys. Zach Rice, Zach Rice, the guy was a complete bust. But like, at some point, you need talent. So let's move on. All right, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I mean, they one of the frustrating things is they've continued to, or the supporters have continued to say 70 new players, yada yada. How are you supposed to integrate them all that quickly? That was part of their strategy, man. Like, they didn't make an effort to keep many of the current guys, right? They had to bring in a bunch of guys no matter what. Maybe they need to bring in 40 regardless, right? I don't know the number, but a whole lot of guys transferred out. You can make an effort to keep some of them. So this was part of, your choice.
Yeah, and it kind of gets to the rebuilding thing, and maybe we're not doing this exactly in order, but I think that letter that went out, was that to Rams Club people?
No, I think it was just like, the real big letter. Dog boosters.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't get it as a lowly Ram member, but of course, read it on IC.
Yeah, same here. Big letter from Lombardi, I guess pretty much preaching patience with the influential, probably top 200 donors and people that make decisions like, here's our plan. I think a big part of that was they got, I think, almost 40 commitments right now coming in as freshmen. That's building for 3 years from now. Like, you cannot rely on incoming freshmen. So they're 17-year-olds right now. They'll be freshmen next year. Like, that's essentially building for the next head coach in my mind. Like, you may get a freshman that pops, maybe, their sophomore year, you get 10 players that could start potentially, who knows, but they're going to have to make big waves in transport. So let's back up a little bit. All right. The hype around this program coming into TCU was undeniable. We were both at that game. Like, the support's there. And it felt great yesterday too. You had Ludacris playing, like, even though it was a 12 o'clock game, like, it was pretty exciting going around to the tailgates and stuff. So, like, the support's there, all this hype there, and now it's complete embarrassment and disappointment, and, like, people are pissed. And I think the money guys have to be pissed that are forking up money for NIL. Fans are pissed. Like, I don't know how many group chats you are with, like, NC State fans or rival fan bases. Like, it's a laughingstock. And it's compounded by the fact that Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend and all this stuff, like, is just a mess. And that's, like, as a fan, like, how do you process this now for the rest of the season? And then, like, how do you kind of get back on board if Belichick stays on for 26?
Yeah. I mean, for the rest of the season, I think I've reached the point where you never want your fan base to reach, of just complete apathy, right? Like, this is a wasted season, right? I mean, I'll still probably make it to most of the home games. I live in Chapel Hill, right? Like, 36, and there's not much else. It's not like I have a zillion other things, don't live in New York or LA, right? Like, and love football, love getting out and see people. So, I'll still probably make it, but it's a wasted season, right? We know the way they've approached things already. If they're not happy with guys, they're going to let them go, right? We let all these guys go after the spring. So you're watching these guys that we barely know on the roster transferred in, and a whole bunch of them are going to transfer out, right? So, like, what's the rest of the season? It's not. It doesn't mean a lot, and it's already a wasted season. So I think in terms of your question, how do you kind of get back on track and believe? I think we have to go all out in the transfer portal this offseason, right? And I fundamentally agree with Lombardi's message of, the best way to build a, sustainable program is high school recruiting, good scouting, good development, all that. We don't have time. Like, I don't know where their sense of confidence is coming from, that they can, they might not get 2 years, right? Like, or they're going to get a second year. But that might be it, right? So they need to win next year, right? And, the fan base is not gonna show up much next year if they don't make big waves in the portal. And I'm not talking about getting guys from South Alabama. I'm talking about the John Mateers of the world at quarterback, right? That apparently we offered $4+ million or something to John Mateer, which, love that we were at least trying to do that and apparently have the resources to do it. They got to land it. Like, if the next John Mateer is, out on the free market and us in Oklahoma are offering $4 million, we better offer 6 and get them, right? Like
yeah. So back up a little bit here. I do want to get into that. This is my fault as bad host, but like for this season, I want to, dude. There is no strength to this team. Like, there's nothing to hold our hat on to be like, all right, look, the defensive line's getting better, or like, look, our linebackers, like, there's nothing to like build on. So it's hard to be like, all right, look, we got something we can recruit people in to be like, dude, join this defense. We got some studs. And like, as I'm not as knowledgeable in the rosters as I used to be, so it's like hard to know what's. I mean, Damon June's the only guy that like we got to pay.
I like Jordan Shipp a lot.
Jordan Shipp,
I think Jordan Shipp looks like a player, but he's is he all ACC yet? Probably not, right? He's he's just a good. He's right. But I think he's a a good starting caliber ACC receiver.
But
Who
my
else
point
can you
is,
say that about.
My point is, like, do you start playing? They got to know what they have.
Yeah.
In order to know who to bring back. Like, at this point, they're like, all right, look, we're not good. Best case scenario, 3-9. We went through the rock. We went through the. We were sitting there. I sat with Kyle and his dad for the second half on Saturday, and we went through the We went through the schedule. Virginia at home, Cal on the road, Virginia at home, Stanford at home, Duke at home, Duke at home, State away. And the only win is potentially Stanford because they're pretty bad.
Stanford, yeah. I mean, I think you can potentially steal one other, but realistic case, probably 2 or 3 wins. Like, best case 4 wins. Like,
best case 4, most likely 3.
Yeah,
or 2.
Probably.
So, all right. So, like you said, like, the season's kind of lost. The fan support's not there. So, you got to start thinking about 26 right now. Yeah. And I think you've got to figure out what you have. Who do you want to pay to come back? Which players are worth whatever it is, $200K, $500K, $400K? Which guys can you give $50K to come back that you think are developmental players that can serve you in 26 or 27? What are you going to do at quarterback? Do you need to throw out – it's tough now. You throw out Bryce Baker against ACC competition or that other guy, Newkirk or Newark. Like, you've got to – do you, like, sacrifice – being competitive to kind of see who you have who are freshmen, sophomores, or transfers who haven't played. Give someone a chance who's pushing in practice. Belichick mentioned that a couple times during his press conference that, like, the best player is going to play. If someone is better than someone that we've paid a lot, like, that guy doesn't play. So I'm interested to see, like, if we get to that mode at UNC to like, already here in October, start preparing for what the roster could look like from who we have on our roster right now for next season.
I don't think we're competent enough that you can go down that route, right? Like, fully. Of course, if a freshman's truly nipping on an older player's heels in practice and you think, hey, maybe they are ready to go. Yeah, play them. But, I don't think we look so incompetent as is. I think the coaching staff has to try and is, probably going to take this route, like, trying everything they can to just get a competent product on the field, hold the team, hold the fan base together, right? Like, you put, Newkirk got out for one play, hit a linebacker in the numbers, like against Richmond. Apparently Bryce Baker's running behind him, I think Newkirk looked like a potential high upside sort of sleeper prospect, but like Bryce, people are calling for Bryce Baker. Why not? What's the worst that could happen with a freshman? Well, if he's just not at all ready to play, like it's not going to go well, and then everybody's
Yeah.
going to give up on him. His confidence is done. He's transferring out to Charlotte next year, right? Like you can't, it's easy. That's the easy fan response that I don't agree with. That you just start throwing out kids that aren't ready at all to play.
Yeah. So why are it just doesn't seem like what I told people in the summer as everybody like asked me like what do you think about Belichick? I was like, look, this is what I said. I said, look, I think Belichick's a good enough coach and his staff is gonna be good enough that like they'll be able to win games purely based on game prep, week of game prep, in-game preparation, or in-game adjustments, halftime adjustments, and like giving you 3.5 points just based on him being able to
Yeah,
out scheme someone after watching tape. We're
yeah,
nowhere close to being able to out scheme people because we
no,
can't score. UNC can't score and put UNC in a position where it comes down the fourth quarter and it's like, all
right.
right, we see something where we can take advantage of it. Like we're nowhere close to that. So it's like his
I think that's exactly
effectiveness,
right.
his lack of effectiveness as a developer in the summer or lack of development to build a roster has completely taken out whatever advantages we thought him and his staff could give UNC as NFL style game preppers,
Yeah.
in game adjustments. So it kind of defeats the purpose of having this coach. It's like chicken or the
You-
egg. Like you got to have a
One of
roster to
my
compete.
Yeah. And I think that, it is more of a roster issue, but when, I know when things are down, you go picking down every hole, but one of my buddies pointed out to me, like defensive timeouts and stuff yesterday, Belichick's just sort of
Yeah,
off by himself. Maybe he's talking on the headset, but he's not in the defensive huddle with Steve getting into, hey, here's what they're going to run or might run, like steaming it up like I think we all expected, right? And not
yeah,
that's the problem, but it's like, why like why do we bring in this guy who's like this defensive schematic guru of our generation, right? Like
yeah,
if he's not doing that, and I'm sure he's doing a ton on the chalkboard back in the coach's office and all that, but I think you're right. We're just not even close to, like, that was a big part of my question, during the season is, I think we'll generally have a schematic advantage, but like, can he do enough different game to game on a short week of prep? We're not even there, right? Like, we're nowhere
yeah.
close to that. It's not a week to week game planning issue. Like, it's a getting a functioning product on the field issue.
It's like we need to start like first downs are priorities now. Like getting five
Yeah.
yards on first down
Yeah.
and moving the ball like past midfield. Like and it's
Yeah.
like stopping them and forcing punts.
And it was nice to see, like, to give, staff just a little bit of credit. It's been nice to see a little bit of opening it up last two games. I think it didn't take a genius to see that we weren't going to be able to run the ball in Clemson, right? They're, NFL guys on the D line. And, so at least they said, all right, like, let's get the ball out on the perimeter, get the ball out of Match's hands. And we moved the ball a little bit, right? Like, versus the start of the season where it's just, hey, we built this big bully up front with our transfer portal offensive linemen from Holy Cross and wherever else, and we can slam it up the middle and play, running game and defense that, like,
Yeah.
just didn't work whatsoever.
Yeah, I think an important part
But
also to mention is like there was pretty high expectations for what Gio Lopez could be. And I'm not sure what happened there, whether he's
yeah,
not surrounded by, whether he's not good against higher competition, or he's not surrounded by a strong enough offensive line or run game or wide receivers to succeed, or if he just sucks and was able
I
to,
think it's I think
he
it's
was
all
able
those
to,
things.
yeah,
I think you see some where I think, it is hard coming in the spring, learning a new offense, processing quickly.
so he missed
I
the
think
spring, right? So to be
he
clear,
missed
he
the
missed the
spring.
spring. He came in the summer and missed
Right. And
the
you got to
full
be,
month of practice.
right. So, it is challenging, I think, coming in new, that not every quarterback can do that. But but I think you also saw moments like there was a play in the UCF game where I don't remember if it was a design quarterback run or he was just scrambling, but he's got one guy on the left side of the field to make miss, and he had a lot of room after, and it's a big, solid gain, and it's some big linebacker or D lineman, and it, like a quick little quarterback like that, you're expecting him to make a miss. He just goes straight down, right?
Yeah.
Tripped him up. That was supposed to be a big part of his game, is being able to make plays with his feet. You saw some of that against Charlotte when he was, with lesser athletes, but you put him on the field, Power 5 guys and Power 4, whatever, and he does, it doesn't look like he has it, So I think it's all these things. I think they're, trying to run an NFL system with a very college spread quarterback, but I think there's also a processing thing there. I think our other than Max, I think a little bit being an older guy, they're, they don't seem to be reading things quickly, comfortable.
A lot of turnovers and
just not
which are killers.
Trigger, gun shy, right? Not look like comfortable, get it out. So I think it's all those things. I think it was a really bad bad evaluation. But also, they didn't. It doesn't look like they prepared them very well or surrounded them well either.
Or put him in situations to succeed. Like, the big thing about Belichick at New England was he would adapt what he did based on his personnel. He never had stud wide receivers until he got Randy Moss. He always had these little white guys, but they would adapt their offense to the strengths. That was kind of his thing. Never had the big draft picks. He'd always trade back. He just had a good quarterback, and then they kind of made it work based on who they had.
And that's what it looks like they're trying to do with the roster across the board, right? It's trying
to big brain it, man. Trying to think they're smarter than everybody else.
No, we don't need that first round pick. We'll trade back and take a whole bunch of fourth round picks, right?
Yeah.
But you gotta hit on them, right?
Yeah, I mean, college is a completely different game in all aspects. I think having running quarterback in college is super valuable. You saw how good Drake May, Marquise Williams, Mitch Trubisky were. Sam Howell to a certain extent as well. I think there's a lot of different things in college evaluations that are more valuable. It's loving the game and wanting to work hard and make it an important part of your life is more important in college, because there's so much room for variation in the skill level and people who are into it. What are you going to say?
No, I mean, I think, let's say, right, you plug one of those guys in and you can master a lot of the problems, right? You plug a Sam Howell, you plug a Marquise. Yeah. It looks a lot better. But that's maybe, what, then you maybe get 6 wins max out of this, right? Yeah. There's issues in every position group.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Quick commercial break. New Grav, drink New Grav. They used to be Delta Spirits. They got a cease and desist, so it's now New Grav. This is a THC, alcohol-free, cannabis-based spirit, BHO10 at New Grav, drinknewgrav.com to get 10% off. You order there. They have these great little canned cocktails, Kyle. This is cherry limeade. They have a blueberry lemonade. These things will get you loose, and you'll have a good time. An alcohol-free substitute. Tastes great. Put them over ice. Get a 6-pack or a single, or buy. This is the like a liquor substitute. drinknewgrav.com, promo code BHO10, and we can't have to mention Roback, awesome Roback gear, BHO20. Those things are selling. The sweatshirts are unbelievable. I wear them every day, especially now in October, November. BHO20 at Roback to get 20% off your entire order. It doesn't have to be UNC stuff. It can be anything. So they have tons of other colleges and tons of other gear. Get your stuff there at Roback. BHO20. Tell your friends. Kyle, someone noticed my shirt at the Ludacris concert, and I said, yeah, it's Roback. And I gave them the promo code, and they texted themselves BHO20. They love the shirt. So I was doing some marketing there by wearing my Roback
at the Luda concerts, just like you'd expect.
Did you go to Luda?
I did not make it. I would have. It
was awesome.
Morning parenting duties, out of the house a little later than ideal.
Yeah. Kyle's a father of 2, devoted husband and father.
That's right.
You just love ball. You're just you got a classic life of just football, family, work. That's about
It's the
it,
American
right?
dream, right?
You play any
American
golf?
dream. Very little.
I mean,
Very
you're in it
little.
with the kids, yeah.
Yeah.
Season ticket holder for baseball, season ticket holder for football. Do y'all have season tickets for basketball?
No. No. Not high enough Rams members to justify it. They'd put me way up there in the corner.
Yeah. But you get to enough games when you really want to there.
That's right.
Yeah, it's love it. It's a good fan to talk to as we transition to this next segment because you are invested. You live in Chapel Hill. UNC sports is a big part of your life. It's a source of joy. Message boards inside Carolina. Tar Heel 247. You spend your Saturdays and a lot of your spring weekends watching UNC sports. So, like, I've been getting a lot of texts about, like, what's going to happen with Belichick. Is this gonna be it? Is he gonna get fired this year? Is he coming back for year 2? What's the plan? Is it a 2-year plan, 3-year plan? And like, I don't know, because it's so bleak right now. And I know everybody listening agrees. Like, it does not look good because we can't compete. We're not even putting up a fight against UCF, against Clemson, against TCU. We're so outmatched. And so, like, and you gotta realize he signed a 5-year deal, 3 years guaranteed. So UNC owes him $30 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, no matter what.
So
right?
in my mind, I think they're going to see this through next year and then the year after. And I think 3 years gives you enough time to do what you need to do.
The third year is a guarantee?
I think you got to see a big improvement next year.
Yeah, see a big improvement.
And you got to see what they do in transfer portal and see how much they've changed their scouting and transfer portal approach, because you can always sell the recruits. They have commitments, but that won't give you wins. Right. So you got to see, like, you got to really evaluate, like, how is Lombardi? A lot of this falls on Lombardi. He's making $1.5 million a year. He's the highest paid
100%
GM.
agree.
So it falls on Lombardi and his staff, and Belichick's a part of that team as well. You know, he's got to meet with recruits and meet with transfers and go visit them and everything. So they got to see a proof of concept in terms of how the scouting and talent acquisition is handled starting in freaking November and December. And I don't know if I think I mentioned this twice yesterday to you and someone else. Like, right now, this staff needs to be scouring tape of G5 programs and Power 4 programs and finding the best players from G5 that they can get, local guys. Elon, JMU, Charlotte, App State, ECU, and then just the best guys on the East Coast. And then also find Power 4 teams and find the backups at LSU, at Georgia, at South Carolina, at Tennessee. Can you find a backup guard, a left tackle who was a 5-star, who's played a little, who you think can be a starter for you, and sell them on starting time at every position? Like, that has to be happening. I'm sure it is happening, but it better be happening right now.
And I think on top of that, you need a couple impact guys, right? Like, that's what you just outlined. I think that's the vast majority of guys that you can get, right? And that's what the work is. That's where the scouting comes in. But we need to move the needle a little bit, right? There's no playmakers. There's no difference.
What's that look
makers.
like? What's that look like to you? Like, what are we getting? What do we need?
Yeah. I mean, I think you got to start with quarterback, right? Unless you start seeing something in practice, right, with one of these two freshmen. But even with that, like, it's a hell of a risk, right? Rolling out a guy who's never played and thinking that, they can not just play okay, but play really well next year, right? And move the needle. So I think quarterback's priority, 1, 2, and 3 in all likelihood, right?
So on the quarterback, let's stay there. You go get a proven starter from I don't think it has to be Power 4, but probably preferred.
Close to it, right? Or like Mateer is, I think the perfect comparison. Who knows, will be out there. But it's at Washington State, right? Like, playing high enough level of competition to show, like, he's having success. It's comparable, but he has motivation to move into a power conference, right?
And then I also think you go quarterback's the most important position. It was Larry Fedor that said that you take a quarterback every class. Like, you need 4 guys on the roster. So, like, cutting Max Johnson or whatever, cutting Gio Lopez or whatever, however that shakes out.
Yeah.
You bring in another quarterback in this class. You have 2 freshmen this year. I think you have to go get like a backup, like maybe an experienced guy who could come in for whatever, and like just wants maybe get his MBA at Carolina. Like you got to have options and someone that can maybe
yeah. I mean, I'd like to think one of those two freshmen can be the backup. We'll see. I mean, we don't get to see them, but they need to be right.
To have an insurance. Like if someone gets hurt, you got to have someone who can play.
Yeah. But if you missed on both those guys, like both ended up being 4 stars, I think, right? And then you got a year in your system to learn, like I don't know that one will be ready to be the backup, but one should be, right? Like, again, sort of bad scouting if one of them's not.
Who's the quarterback's coach, right? He hasn't coached quarterbacks at college level before. Lombardi's son.
Yeah.
Those are the things.
The nepotism, those are the type of things, you kind of let go, right? Like, Steve was a Power 5 D coordinator, seemingly did a decent job last year. You let those things go, preseason, and but when nothing's working, then you start asking those questions, and you got to, it's like, who was supposed to get Gio Lopez ready?
Yeah, I think you got to bring in some adults in the room. Like, I would hire an experienced stud OC, and also
OC's gonna go right. Like, this OC situation has not worked at all.
Bring in someone that's like a couple guys that are experienced, like been in college football for 25 years. They look, we should be doing this, not that.
And maybe Brewer. That's how you get your and maybe that OC is how you get your quarterback too, right? Quarterback who's going to follow their offensive coordinator.
That's a great point.
Work out a little package deal. That's fluky, but that's how the world works. College football works these days, right? Dion bringing, his Louis to Colorado, right? Like, it makes a big difference, versus obviously like Belichick not having anybody to bring with him.
So moving off quarterback, the offensive line, I think, is kind of the next step. Like, you have to have an offensive line because I think UNC has a good crop of running backs. So you go out and get some starters, whether that's think a couple experienced Power 4 starters that just pay them more than their school can provide.
I think they thought they really upgraded the line this year with bringing in a ton of new guys. It seems like 1 or 2 of them are decent, but as a whole, that group's not very good, and they're all I think 4 out of 5 are transfers, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them are older. I don't know the details. So, who's coming back? Who do you bring back? But you're gonna have to go get a guy or two. If not,
continuity is important.
That's ready to start.
Yeah, you got to bring in starters, but continuity is important too. So you see what you have. That's why we talk about you got to play people, see what you have, and all right, you keep two guys that you like. That's some continuity. That's some leadership. That's great. I think you need a difference maker at wide receiver. Whether that's Jordan Shipp coming back, bringing in another stud. It helps to have a guy like Josh Downs in your roster. You can always get open.
Yeah, you can pair a Shipp with another, proven, or at least just starting caliber, right? Like a for sure starting caliber ACC receiver. With Shipp, you have a little bit of playmakers, something, Damon June in the backfield. You have a little something to work with there.
Yeah, and just running through this, obviously, just go get good players on defense. It's interesting to see what they do. Are they going to go and overpay for Power 4 starters? At Tennessee, I don't know. It's hard to compete with SEC schools money-wise, but the whole thought is that UNC now has the money. So you got to find the right guys, the right places that are willing to come and be part of this rebuild.
And they're going to have to, this type of season, is to make it harder. You're going to have to overpay, frankly, right? And how much money we really have, who knows? But, the guys who were trying to make this happen and put a bunch of money into it to make it happen, right? Like, okay, you gotta step it up even more now, buddy. Like you got us into this, right? You know, try and make it work. Give Belichick, what he needs to build a good roster, right? Because we just shown that it's not going to happen without a good roster.
Belichick was asked about how much of a rebuild it really was and whether he underestimated the rebuild. He kind of didn't answer that one. He was also asked about recruiting. And he said, look, in recruiting, we're honest with players. Like this, you're going to be part of a build. Like we are building this. You're kind of honest with kind of what this is. And there's also playing time to sell for these transfers. And you're just going to be plenty of playing time to sell. So that is you're not going to be bringing back too many players from this team. Like if you bring back a lot of players from this team, you're going to have a similar result. So that's going to be interesting. I'm very intrigued about the result. Okay. So we don't know like how long this experiment is going to happen. Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? Look, maybe things look a lot different next year. There is no better time to flip a roster. Look what Indiana did last year with the JMU coach. Like they're rolling. Just a simple thing like Wake Forest looks a lot better very quickly. Look at Duke. Duke won 9 games last year, and they're like pretty good team this year with a good quarterback and like a very formidable roster.
So I've been harping on that point, but in the other way of like you see all these other coaches flip it in year one and succeed in places that are harder to win at than North Carolina, right? You look at Manny Diaz and Elko, what they've done quickly at Duke, right? Indiana, Signetti, Fran Brown, Syracuse, right? I've been looking at those guys and I'm like, stop with the excuses about how hard the rebuild is, right? Like they flipped it. But you can also look at that the same way. You look at Florida State's turns from one year to another, even though they might be, falling off a little bit this year. Like you can flip it quickly, right? You look at Arizona State, good example. Dillingham, right? I think he won like 3-4 games his first year, and then second year he's in the playoffs, right? Like you can flip things very quickly in college football in today's era. So no excuses. Lombardi,
you got
Belichick. We're paying you a lot of money, and it's time.
That's okay. That's a great point. Like that's why it's so painful because of how much money they're making. Like it's not like we're paying them $4 million or $5 million. So it's $10 million. Like it's a fuck ton of money. $10 million. And Lombardi's making more than Lombardi's making more money than any other GM in the country.
Yeah,
which is like ridiculous. So, like we shouldn't be paying our GM more than like Alabama or Texas is paying their GM.
Yeah. So the discussion had a lot. Why? I mean, this is a little bit like hypothetical. We can't change, whatever. In modern day college sports, you have a big pool of money, whatever it is. And I know some of it's supposed to be revenue share versus like real NIL directly from companies and stuff now, right? But theoretically, you have one big pool of money that really you can pay people however you want. Why would we take $10 million to our coach and $1.5 million GM, all that stuff, rather than paying $5-6 million for your coach? Spend the other $4 million on players, right? Like, how much better would this roster be with an extra $4 million of player payroll?
Well, the revenue share is just for players, right?
Right. But I'm saying all that. I know you're legally the school's only supposed to be paying the revenue share.
Funds
But we know there's other ways to pay players out on top of revenue share, right? Yeah. You think Ohio State's only using their revenue share limit of 13, 14 million?
We're
right?
definitely paying everyone's, especially basketball. But you find like NIL routes for them to make more money. Like you bring them in, like look,
that money could be going to players, right? And
I mean, if I was Belichick, I mean, this guy's got tons of money, dude. Cut your salary, put $2 million of your salary towards a quarterback, and look, we're on for 4, now we're on for 6. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
so I couldn't believe, I kind of got on board with the Belichick hire of like, okay, didn't love the idea, but like, okay, we're pouring money into this. Like, if you get Bill Belichick good players, like it'll work, right? And I saw his salary like $10 million. Like, the fuck? Like, why are we paying? No, who are we competing with to
Yeah.
hire him?
Who you
You know?
negotiating against? ESPN,
Yeah,
the Manning cast. So that's a
yeah,
good point. Like another thing about this is like he doesn't give himself any goodwill because he's not good with the media. He's not like promoting the program. Dude, he went to Martha's Vineyard on his bye week, on our bye week, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. So,
I just saw
so
that. I'm
again,
not.
those are the things you can get away with when you're winning. But yeah, that reported it on Inside Carolina. He's up in Massachusetts, scouting recruits last weekend. Since when is Massachusetts our most fertile recruiting ground? Like, come on, like,
Yeah,
is that
well, they
really
had they
the?
went up there. They went up there a lot for recruiting in the off season. But yeah, that shouldn't be our recruiting ground. I guess you do have an advantage because he's very well liked in that area
Yeah,
by
my
like
point is
dads.
that's he. Do you think he chose that for the recruits, or do you think he
Yeah,
chose that to where he wanted to get away for a weekend?
yeah, because they have a place in Martha's Vineyard, right? Um, yeah, and also like you got to be lock yourself in a room watching tape of G5 schools and Power 4 schools scouting the next year's roster. So like, yeah, he doesn't do himself any favors. I was texting with a source today about how like Mac Brown, like he had favor. He had been at
Yeah,
UNC. He's from the North Carolina connections. Like a lot of big donors like really loved him. Linville playing golf, house of figure eight. Like he had kind of like the benefit of the doubt. There's no like Belichick doesn't give a shit about the donors here, and
yeah,
they don't care. Like he's not kissing babies and shaking hands. So like he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. You're paying him money. It's a transactional situation.
right.
We're paying you a lot of money to win and to take our
Yeah.
program to the next level to where we're ready to go to the SEC. And another aspect of this is like maybe the 10 million show was like for the next coach. Now we know we can pay 10 million, so now we go out and get a
So
good
that
coach.
does
Why
make me
not get the
feel
10
better,
million dollar good
right?
coach now?
Yeah, that does make me feel better that like resources are there, and generally this is I don't know how all these big donors supporting NIL and stuff don't get pissed when they spend a bunch of money and it doesn't work, but it seems like most of the time that only makes them spend more money, right? They're like, okay, like we didn't get a good enough team for X million. We need to put more into it. So it does make me feel better. I think that money's still gonna be there. Nobody really decreases their investment in football. So Ross, you said something on Saturday, just brought up SEC again. Some of this is maybe showing the SEC our investment or willingness to invest in football, right? The future. What would be a better show that we are SEC material than paying a massive buyout right
Yeah, that's
away?
right.
Like
That's
that's
right.
part of SEC DNA to be paying like three different coaches at a time because as soon as they lose, you fire them. I don't think we have
Yeah.
the funds to do that, but just just
We
hypothetical.
all it takes is one donor. I mean, it's 10 million. I mean, a couple million for some of these guys is nothing.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet. I want to see this out. Like I know people. I mean, I was excited. I was excited, man. I was like, God, Bill Belichick is incredible. I want to see it out and see what happens, and like get to 6, 7, 8 wins next year, and then they build on that. And then all right, you got things rolling here. Now you have the recruits in. I want to. There's always this glimmer of hope because it is Bill Belichick. Um, but it's so like it's hard to buy in right now. Like I don't
It
nothing on the
is. You
field
might have
is
more of a
making me excited.
glimmer. You might
What's
have
that?
more of a glimmer than I do right now.
Yeah, I mean nothing on the field. I mean I look for these.
I want to see. I kind of said I want to see like proof of concept, right? Like just want to
Yeah,
see. You know, friend said before the year, I think, even before the TCU game, you go 6-6 this year and find a quarterback, like we'll call that a win for the year, right? A successful year. And I was like, yeah, I mean, kind of like to win 8, but yeah, sure. I'll agree with you. Like 6 wins and find a quarterback and get going into next year. Like we'll call that a win. Obviously that's not going to happen. But I think we're in too deep, right? Like, so we get the powers that be and the front office like that now it's going almost all out on year 2 to turn this thing around, or else
yeah,
everybody it's going to be dead after 2 years, year and a
and
half, you know?
and we'll get into here on this. And I recorded a basketball podcast, a basketball segment after this. So stay on. I go 10 minutes on the blue-white game. That was this inter-squad scrimmage that happened after the Clemson game on Saturday. I went to that. It's kind of some quick observations on UNC's roster and all the new players and stuff. So right after this, directly into 10 minutes on UNC basketball. But let's get out of here on this. We'll get you back to your wife and family. It's got to be so embarrassing for the administration. Like John Pryor. Everyone's like calling for John. I've never heard his name mentioned more than yesterday. Everyone's like, John Pryor, you did this. Speak to the media, because he's the guy that kind of went behind Bubba's back.
Yeah, he stuck his neck out, wanted to be a hero, right?
It's like, I saved UC football behind Bill Belichick. So he was the one that pushed for this. Bubba wanted a traditional hire. John Summerall, who's the coach at who's the Big 12 coach? The Iowa State coach.
Matt Campbell. I think he would have been great. I don't think he was going to come. I think he would have been a phenomenal hire.
He was going traditional, like the top G5 hire, or like, the Army coach was mentioned. Like, Bubba wanted a traditional hire, which, look, I don't mind us going on a limb and trying something different. But now it's got to be so embarrassing for those people that had asked for money, had to call these donors.
Yeah.
And like now, like you're getting some angry calls like, what the fuck are we doing? Because they kind of like built this up. Like they built this concert series. They're spending $300K on Ludacris.
Is that what it costs? Yeah. So that's another point, Lombardi is, going to try and, sell this of like this massive rebuild and, how would we have a chance to build this roster in such short term, all that stuff. You don't do all the things we've done and lead up to, TCU game this season if you knew that we were going to suck, right? Like, I don't think they thought we were going to win the ACC championship, right? But you don't hype things up as much as they did, bringing in PD Pablo on the field, they're signing up for the game in Ireland, Chase Wright, right? All the things you did, selling, hyping this up. You don't do that if you're not, if you don't think that you're going to be at least okay, right? You're going to go out and embarrass ourselves.
Bring ESPN in,
right.
bring in.
The
Clemson game was supposed to be like prime time,
right? And it's just a laughing stock, right? We just set ourselves up. So administrative. Nobody was going into this as like, okay, you have this massive rebuild. Who cares what you do year one? Like, you can go 3-9. Nobody cares. That's not the mindset or the plan anybody was coming into this with, right? So like, don't come back, Lombardi and say, oh, it's just this huge rebuild. We knew it was going to be tough. Like, no, you misdoubted a lot of guys, right? And
I think it goes back. They thought Gio was going to be a lot better. The most important position they kind of whiffed on after 5 games. And it's just like a lot of money down the drain. Like this is such a big investment.
What do you think like Lee Roberts is thinking, right? Like he's, I think he's been a huge supporter of, investing in sports, which I love, right? I think he gets it, like the front porch of the university, right? The future money opportunity and, Big Ten SEC, how important it is for us to stay, as a national, sports program, right? In every sport, and football is the only, I think the only way to do that. Like, what's he thinking right now, right? Like,
and he like helped negotiate the contract and was a huge role in pushing for Belichick. I think once it became was very realistic, he kind of pushed for it. But he's also had Bubba's back a lot too. That whole thing, there needs to be like a 30 for 30 on the backstabbing that went on between the board of trustees and Bubba and Lee Roberts' role in that. But I agree. Like, I do like that Lee Roberts is very pro big athletics and big football. Like his involvement in the new Smith Center is going to happen at some point in the next 5 or 6 years. But it looks bad. And Lee Roberts is very public facing. Like, you see him everywhere. I saw him a couple times yesterday. I follow him on Instagram, so I guess I maybe probably see more than other people do. But he is very out there. He's got the hair. He's shaking hands. Like, he is very much a front and center chancellor. And so, I would love to be in some of these meetings. Like, who is leading this? Is Newmark the AD now?
Yeah.
Is it Lee Roberts? Is it? I mean, what's the BOT's role? Because I don't even think John Pryor's head of the BOT anymore, or
Yeah, I
that
think
transition's happening at some point too.
chairman
So
or
yeah, because you're only
terms
chairman for a
coming
couple
up.
of
Yeah.
years. So it's just
Um,
a weird time. Someone told me yesterday that Bubba's not really the AD anymore. Like Newmark is making the calls.
yeah.
I didn't
I
know
mean, this
that.
is the yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be the 1 year transition or whatever, right? So I'm sure this whole situation just motivated Bubba even more to be like, all right, like it's time to step a little bit to the
Yeah,
side and
it's got to be so
ride this
frustrating
thing
for him.
out. And yeah, I do feel for, not that, I've been the biggest Bubba fan, but like, it, can you imagine like the situation he was in for this, right? So,
Yep.
I don't expect him to say anything but like positive support and play the role and not act like this wasn't something he was in support of. But I think
Yep.
he knows that the fan base knows some of
Yeah.
what went down, right?
Yep. All right, Kyle. We appreciate your time, man. That's awesome. Fan
Yeah,
perspective, donor perspective, season ticket holder perspective. Good. There's just so many different angles to this story that touches so many different parts of college athletics and program building, and with the transfer portal and the GM role now, there's a whole different level to college football. But yeah, guys, thanks for listening.
we got to figure it out.
Stay on for 10 minutes on UNC basketball, and we'll talk to you next time on Big Hitters Only. All right, welcome back into Big Hitters Only. I am your host, Ross Martin. I'm going to do a quick 10 minutes on UNC basketball following the blue-white scrimmage I watched on Saturday in Chapel Hill. First of all, this podcast is brought to you by Roback. Use promo code BHO20 at checkout to get 20% off your first purchase at Roback. Awesome polos, sweatshirts, Q-zips. It can be anything. Doesn't have to be UNC stuff. They have tons of great gear, joggers, shorts, pants, but their sweatshirts are awesome. Their Q-zips are awesome, and their polos are awesome. BHO20 at checkout to get 20% off. It really helps us pay for production, graphics, and things like that. All right, blue-white scrimmage. We'll run through this pretty quickly. I walked down to the Dean Dome after the game and took in the whole blue-white scrimmage just for this podcast. First person that stood out to me was Luka Bogovac. He looks the part. He is smooth. He is in control. He has great size for a 2 or 3 guard wing. He was knocking down open shots. He just looks poised and ready for the role, which I think UNC needs him to be, which is a wing scorer, a guy who can knock down open threes, can create a little bit for himself off the dribble if needed to, but just really good with 1 dribble, 2 dribbles, and has that European, you can just already tell that European, like, big body, knows how to use his body, knows spacing, and is in control and plays that way. I mean, he could average, I think it's not out of the realm of possibility. He's kind of averaging 16 points a game. I think anywhere between 12 and 18 is realistic for him. He's going to have open shots, and he's going to knock them down, and UNC's been missing a player like that. We'll go to Henry Vasar next. He looks the part too. He's not going to be a bully. He's not going to be an Armando Bacot who can use his body and his lower body and his strength to bully the opposition. He's more of a finesse big, but because he's 7 feet tall, he runs to the rim. He knows how to operate in the pick and roll. He can run the floor. He's athletic. He's in shape. And he's 7 feet tall. UNC hasn't had a legit 7-footer in a long time. Gosh, has it been since Tyler Zeller, John Henson? I'm probably missing somebody, but a viable starter who's legit 7 feet, 7'1", probably Tyler Zeller. He kind of reminds me of Tyler Zeller a little bit. Tyler Zeller, I'd say, was probably more skilled and more athletic. Tyler Zeller was super fast, athletic. But Henry Vasar is going to be a shot blocker. I don't know if he's going to be a big-time rebounder. I don't think the physicality is there. But he's going to catch alley-oops. He's going to rim run. He's going to defend. He's going to cover a lot of issues up for UNC they missed last year in terms of a interior scorer and a defender. And, of course, he's going to grab rebounds. He's 7 feet tall. All right, we'll go with another newcomer, Kyan Evans. He's short. He's small. Sorry, he's not short. He's slight. He's not some massive guy either. He's 6'2", 6'3". Kind of reminds me of the same body type as like a freshman Marcus Page. Quick, maybe not fast, like not Ty Lawson fast, but quick and light on his feet and can move and can operate. Had some nice passes. I see him scoring in the mid-range some. I see him operating as a ball handler, shooting threes off the dribble, distributing the ball off the dribble. I think the plan is for him to start at point guard, and I hope that he could be that guy. But he's not a true point guard. At least that's what we've heard. And he hasn't played that role at the college level in a long time, or in his years at Colorado State. But I think he can make threes and he can make baskets, and this team needs offense, and he can provide that. So I think he's going to be a guy that's super interesting. I think UNC, if he is really good and can give UNC 12 points and 5 assists, which would be massive, then I think UNC is going to be a good spot. I do not think Kyan Evans is going to be UNC's first or second option. Maybe not even the third option, but kind of like a backup scorer at the 1 or 2 who can hit a 3, can give you 9 points, and maybe that's all you need from him. I really like Seth Trimble. I think we all kind of know what Seth Trimble is going to bring, but I think the best part about him this season, when we're talking about role and fit, is he's going to have more of an alpha mentality. He's going to be given the ball more in his hands, scoring off the dribble. We know we can do in transition. I don't know if he needs to hit threes this year. I think he needs to be a physical guard who can defend the opposition's best player, which he can do. He can rebound for his position, and he can score. He can score in transition, and he can score with the ball in his hands as a driver, drive and dish. And I think the most important thing for Seth Trimble is to be a leader of this team. He is the veteran. He is the 4-year player, but he's going to be given more opportunities in terms of more minutes. So you're looking at him getting 25 to 30 to 35 minutes a game, which would be awesome for him to see what he can produce in that amount of time. Jaren Stevenson, there's not much really to say about him because he didn't stand out. He's huge, but I don't think he uses his height and his body as much because he likes to play on the perimeter more. He's going to be a good backup, a serviceable backup. Maybe not a good backup, maybe a serviceable backup. If he can come in and hit a 3 and grab some rebounds and give UNC 15 minutes, at the 4, the 5, that's huge. But I'm interested to see how much UNC uses him, how much UNC needs him, and what role he really plays. That leads to Caleb Wilson, the starter at the 4 for UNC. He stands out. He looks apart. He's an NBA player. He's super athletic. He can fly through the air. UNC hasn't had an athlete like him that has both the size and the leaping ability and the mobility in a long time. I think he can play and play a lot, but I'm not sure he's going to be creating his own shot. Maybe that comes in year 3 in the NBA. But like offensive rebounds, catching alley-oops, running the floor, getting the ball in the post with one dribble and doing some cool move to score. Like he can score in a lot of different ways, and that's exciting. And he can provide a huge impact to guard the 3 spot, guard the 4 spot, guard the 5 spot. He can guard probably 3 or 4 positions because he's so mobile and so long, so young. It's a player UNC hasn't had, like a one-and-done guy in so long. He could be NBA starter next year. That's how good he is. I think. It might take a while for him to really succeed in the NBA, but the potential's there. You've read everything about him. Like he has all the tools. I think he has the mentality too. He seems like a cool, super cool, nice guy. What else we got here? Zayden High. I think Zayden High, as much as I don't think he should be on this roster, I don't think he should be on the team. For why he got kicked off. I think he's going to be a valuable piece because he's a nasty, kind of annoying player, and that's what teams need. A dog, rebounder, defender, like talking shit type guy. He's going to be the backup 5, backup 4. Not super tall, not super athletic, but, grab some rebounds, defend, make a couple shots here and there, score 4 or 5 points a game. He's going to be valuable. We did not see Derek Dixon or Isaiah Dennis, the 2 freshmen. I think Derek Dixon is going to be very important for this team. What we've heard about him from different reports about how tall he is, how poised he is, his ball control, pure point guard. I think he not only can give you 12 minutes this year at point guard as a reserve guard, hopefully, but he may be the point guard of the future for UNC. He seems like a guy who wants to be at UNC, and that's huge. So I'm excited for what Derek Dixon can bring, not only this year, but in the future. Jaden Young, I didn't see much from him that stood out. I think Jonathan Powell is going to play. I think he can shoot at 6'6". So I think overall, UNC filled up a lot of holes. They have a lot more depth. They have a lot more size. We've heard all these same things about this team, but you kind of see it happen. You kind of see, all right, Jonathan Powell's going to play. Derek Dixon, though we didn't see him, like he's going to play. Caleb Wilson fits the part. Zane High is going to be a valuable player. Seth Trimble, Henry Vasar, like seeing Luka out there, like they had to have Luka. Like he is going to be a big time player for UNC. They have to surround him with pieces that can, keep people from double teaming Luka, but also get him the ball in the right spots. So I'm excited for this team. Obviously, with football being so bad, you're very quickly moving over to football, moving over to basketball, and so I'm excited to see these new parts, kind of get all these new players. That's exciting. Even though you do like to have a lot of returnees, it is exciting to have all these new pieces to cover and to watch and to see how this team grows and molds. ACC Media Day will be Tuesday in Charlotte. I do expect to be there. I may have a report from there on Big Hitters Only. But I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thanks so much to Kyle Peterson for coming on talking football. Remember, guys, drink Delta Spirits, drinknewgrav.com, promo code BHO10. These are awesome. If you're trying to get away from alcohol, this is awesome post-work, before bed, hanging out, watching a movie or a show. Drink New Grav, Delta Spirits, promo code BHO10 to get 10% off your offer there. And then we definitely want you to check out Roback, BHO20 at Roback. Get 20% off your whole order. Christmas, birthday gifts, Roback. It really helps us. We really appreciate you checking out Roback. Thanks so much, guys. Talk to you next time.